sweat, and cheers, having the right spirit. Tami Banda, the Macallan brand ambassador, is viewed by industry colleagues as an opinion leader in spheres such as consumer insights, experiences, and luxury brand positioning. He worked his way from a security guard to being one of the most sought-after whiskey connoisseurs on the continent. Patricia Pillay is the CEO of the Beer Association of South Africa, which represents craft brewers as well as big brewing companies. Patricia is also an attorney of the High Court of South Africa and a certified part-time commissioner of the CCMA. Nonqebo Nonilanga is a winemaker at Delheim. She joined as an intern and became a full-time member of the team in 2019. She graduated with an MSc in Enology from the University of Stellenbosch. Melanie Campbell, Marketing Director at Edward Snell & Company, the largest independent distributor of spirits in South Africa. Melanie's 23-year career spans roles across Europe and Africa. And the moderator is Tami Nkadimeng, the message architect.
Fantastic. So here we are talking about, I thought this was such a clever topic, blood, sweat, and cheers. And you'll find out why it's so apt that they named it that. Such a clever name. I think I'm going to start right at COVID. We can't get away from what happened to us,
yes,
and what is still lingering in the air. Mm-hmm. And perhaps you can just speak to us from a female perspective in the wine industry about what were the pros of COVID happening, because I find it quite interesting that one of the speakers said there wasn't just doom and gloom, there was also positives.
Wow, okay, who said that? I think from our side, it became quite a stressful time, because I remember the president was like, on Thursday, we're shutting down everything. So we were in the middle of harvest, actually, so we had to make sure everything was pressed and ready, because I would have to be the one to actually run the operations without my team. So it was quite difficult at that time. And then when the alcohol ban happened, it was also quite tough. So then, because we could only trade overseas and nothing local. So it was quite a struggle. The only positive I can think of is right now I live on a farm. So then I didn't have to actually go under lockdown, really. So yeah, that's it. It was quite a tough time for the industry as a whole.
I'm going to stick on the word tough, and I'm going to come through to you, Patricia. You know, it's quite tough to convert women to beer, because I think beer is generally known as a man's drink. And part of our topic today is having the right spirit. How do we give women the right chutzpah to start drinking beer?
Well, all the women here are invited to one of our brew route tours, all of you, anywhere in the country. Let me know, we're arranging it. And all it takes is the experience and being open to it. And we've set up brew routes around the country. So South Africa is open for business, it is open for tourism. And part of that is going around supporting local businesses and local breweries and tasting and experiencing. It's not only about a lager, which is what we're known for in South Africa. It's about different brewing styles, and it's about different palates. And so we have a variety of types of beer that women can experiment. And you find that our conversion rate is very high at the moment. More and more women are turning to beer these days.
Yeah, and tourism, I'm so glad you touched on tourism, because tourism really builds a culture within us, but it also teaches people about the culture that we want to give back to those that visit us. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think we all know that alcohol has some of the greatest campaigns in the world. And I think, Melanie, I want you to just touch on how can the industry actually contribute to culture building? Because I think that's what we need, as a society.
Absolutely, and I think that's even one of my own personal purposes. I always think to change the world, you need money and influence. I had neither, but in my role as a marketing director, I have the ability to utilize the brand campaigns in order to drive influence. And I think two of the best ones that come to mind, which really help shape culture and not just allow us to exist in culture, is a campaign that we've done for Glenfiddich and the Challengers Club. It's actually been running for 3 years now. The most recent campaign, we worked with Sandile Ndlovu, the Black Mermaid, as well as Maps Maponyane. And it was really around water sustainability. Of course, whiskey is made from water. And we actually auctioned our rarest expressions in order to ensure that we raised funds, where we actually installed wells and fresh water supply in underprivileged areas in South Africa. And I think another example of that, of how you can use the purpose of what a brand stands for to really drive a good outcome in community and culture, is with First Watch. We run something called the Entrepreneurship Challenge. We recognize that there are many baseline entrepreneurs. We're talking about the real township hustlers, you know, who are coming up with ideas. They're never going to get major backing from big institutions. They often don't have the know-how, and we actually train them, we coach them, we put them on a 3 to 12 month course, and we actually continue to look after them beyond just the initial funding. And then lastly, I mean, some of our campaigns that we've done before with more creative brands like Russian Bear, where we actually give artists a leg up and give them the exposure. You know, when you don't have the music producers willing to create your music video or give you that shot, we help give them that platform. And I think that is the most important thing that you can do as marketing, when you can link the purpose of the brands you represent to a purposeful role in society.
Wow. So I first have to do this intro of this panelist, somebody who's very near and dear to my heart. I've known him for a number of years, and I think he is not, you know, just talking the talk about supporting women. He actually walks the walk. You can find me at the corner, and I'll tell you what he's done in my life. So, and also a round of applause for, please, the Macallan team. I'm sure you saw their brand everywhere.
Oh, well.
And he happens to have the same name as myself. So Tammy and Tammy. Tammy, I'm going to put you on the spot because you're the only gent that's been a panelist the entire day. And, you know, obviously Macallan being whiskey, it might be, you know, difficult for most women to actually enjoy it. And I was trying to think, how would I incorporate whiskey at a high tea? How can women actually enjoy whiskey?
Well, one of the most interesting things that women don't know about whiskey, particularly from the Macallan perspective, is that the team that makes whiskey at the Macallan is made of 9 people. Out of 9, 6 of them are ladies, and the head whiskey maker at the Macallan is a woman. And if you study whiskey close enough, you'll discover a very simple truth that you can pick up in the room. The best nosing people in the knowledge of the aromas of the whiskey also tend to be women.
Oh, wow.
So before we talk about consumption, let's first appreciate the fact that they are involved in the process of production. We are just in the back end when we are viewed as people who appreciate it. So in my heart of hearts and in my involvement of the Macallan within the continent, it has always been trying to identify and mimic what we do at the distillery by seeing those women that have the same potential and give them that platform to excel. When we started that program, for instance, we had a lot of brand education team that was male-driven. Now we are proud to say that if you visit Kenya, you'd find a Macallan brand ambassador who is female. You go to Nigeria, we've got 2 of them.
Oh, wow.
And we're identifying others in Cote d'Ivoire. So we are a growing community where these ladies stand in front of men and tell them how to appreciate this drink better than we've always known. So before consumption, let's just appreciate the fact that in production, they are certainly there.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Tammy. You know, the buzzword at the moment, and it's been here for a while, I'm going to come to you, Patricia, is the UN SDGs. And I don't think we can ever all run away from it. And one of them is responsible consumption and production. And I don't think, you know, the alcohol industry is ever really fully considered when, and there's the word, responsible consumption. So what's your take on how the alcohol industry can be more incorporated into these SDGs?
Yeah, absolutely. But just before I go there, I just want to respond and add on to Tommy. It's amazing how underestimated it is the power of a woman brewer, and we call it a brewster, is in the beer industry as well, similar to whiskey, spirits, wines, etc. It is the actual women that are brewing. If you just look at the beer industry, we've got our Prospecton branch of the SAB, we've got the Newlands distillery, we've got the Caledon distillery, the Help Harvest Farm. All of those are actually run by women. We've got all the distribution networks that are run through women. So it's women that are brewing. The Clockworks Brewery that's out in Kloof, they are women brewers. So it is women that are brewing, and they also are tasting. Obviously, they're using their own ingredients. So it's similarly, we must appreciate that. It's not well known out there. But
Power to women in production, right?
Exactly.
That's probably why it tastes so good.
Exactly. So we coming to the issue of the responsible consumption. So one of the reasons why I pride myself on working in the beer industry in particular is because beer is the lowest ABV, alcohol by volume. And we pride ourselves in terms of drinking in moderation as well as drinking responsibly. So that is a key pillar for myself, and personally having relationships in terms of alcohol. We spoke a bit about it behind the scenes, and I don't believe that the abuse of the substance should tarnish the reputation of the actual liquid. The liquid is there to be enjoyed, but to be enjoyed responsibly. And it's our then job to make sure that we do not sell to minors. We do not sell to visibly pregnant women. We make sure that people eat when they consume, that they drink water and they pace themselves. And these are all the messages that we consistently run campaigns with the various government departments across the provinces, and we make sure that all of these activations that we do, we instill this messaging. And if we do find that there are breaches, we actually then will report these outlets, and we won't supply them with any stock, because we pride ourselves in the fact that it's moderation and it's drinking responsibly. And it's absolutely critical. We have a societal problem with the abuse of alcohol in this country in particular. And it's very, very sad, because when you look at the amount of GBV that we have and the femicide that we have in this country, it's unacceptable, and it was spoken about earlier on. But you cannot put all the blame on alcohol. But there is a role that we do have to play in terms of responsibly educating people and making sure that we also introduce and encourage the right behavior.
Yeah, and I want to touch on a similar point, because that's obviously from a beer perspective, and I'm going to come to you from a wine perspective. What roles do women actually play that are significant, that everybody actually underplays within the wine industry?
Okay, to add on to beer and whiskey, it's also been found that wine, actually, women do actually taste well. And we've got panels in the university that actually will get so I'll use scan the wines for faults and research and whatnot. It's mostly women that you'll find in those panels, and they train so well and work so well in giving us the right information and what we need. And then, for women in the wine industry, we play such a major role. You'll find us in the fields picking, women having to take care of their families. They will find them picking, they'll be taking care of the vines. So you'll find us in the cellar lifting the barrels, holding those pipes around. And you'll find us in management positions as well, making crucial decisions in wineries, the running of wineries, as well as associations in the wine industry. So we are there, which is just, I suppose we're not loud enough as we are meant to be. And then I think that's when the new generation, I suppose, is going to come in and hopefully make that impact, that actually everyone knows that we have such a huge role to play throughout the whole system and production of beverages or anything.
Okay, perfect. Melanie, I think I want to touch on the topic again. I think the cheers part is quite obvious, right? What is the blood and sweat that women have to go to before we get to the cheers?
I think the most challenging thing women face is just the multifaceted roles that we do serve. I think households are a little bit more balanced nowadays. I think men are a lot more hands-on. But if I take myself, I have to be a marketing director. I'm also a wife. I'm also a mom. I'm also a class rep.
Yeah.
And I think the blood and sweat on one hand is very much the balance. And knowing that you can proudly say that you're the best version of a mom for your kids.
Yes.
And showing them what a good role model is, but making sure you make the right choices around when choosing to choose them first.
Yes.
Over potentially career moves. And then on the other side, I really just think it is resilience and vision. I'm very blessed that in my career, I've had so many men who've actually created platforms for me. I mean, one guy, as a matter of fact, hired me when I was 6 months pregnant. I had a 9-month restraint of trade. I could have been prohibited from being in the industry for a very long time. And not only did he hire me while I was pregnant, but he actually paid my maternity leave without me working one day for that company. Another example was the one time in my life when I chose love over career. I decided to resign. And I'll never forget, this man said to me, "I'd hate to think that we missed each other on a negotiation." And at this time in my life, I was living in Amsterdam. They allowed me to move back to London. They paid for me to fly to work to Amsterdam on a Monday, put me up in a hotel, worked from home on Fridays. So essentially, I commuted via plane and still got my same salary. And I think those are just two examples of, number one, putting your vision, your wants, and your desires on the table, but at the same time, surround yourself by people who are enablers and give you those platforms.
Yeah.
And I think that, coupled with knowing when to choose work and when to choose love or your children, or any other aspect of your life, your own well-being, I think that's what really the blood and sweat comes down to.
Look, we've run out of time because we have to catch up time. Obviously, we were meant to be done. I'm going to ask for one-word answer from you, Tammy, just yes or no. Is it a myth that alcohol will make us gain weight?
Yes. I had to apply a science mind first.
I think before I thank my panelists, it would be amiss if I don't just thank, a lot of you complimented my outfit. I'm dressed by Kense Masilo, who's also a very young designer, very, very young. She dressed me throughout the day and even did the outfit changes. I also have somebody in the crowd. I know it's Aniza Nande's Matli's birthday, so happy birthday to the ladies, whoever's having a birthday today. And with that, please, ladies and gentlemen in the room, a round of applause for my panelists.